I'll be showing you how to complete this color wheel worksheet. It's made out of regular paper, so you don't want to use a lot of paint or a lot of water because it'll warp the paper. You only need enough paint to have a nice guide of the color wheel and other nice color theory examples. The first thing you want to do is have your paint. And all you want to do is hydrate the paint. So I would take the bigger of your two paintbrushes and drop a couple of drops of paint in each paint well. You want to be careful not to touch the paint itself too much, because if you do, you could transfer the color from one paint well to the other. The yellow color especially tends to get dirty quite quickly. I might spread the water out a little bit, but again, I need to wash my paintbrush off to make sure it doesn't transfer to the other colors. And now I'm gonna let these wait a minute to really activate the paint. And while I'm waiting, I can fill out the words on this worksheet. So I'll need to write my name and the date in the top right corner. And then it asks me color is. And color is an aspect perceived by the way light reflects off of a surface. And then next, I'll be filling in my primary colors. I don't need any writing for that. Then my secondary colors and tertiary colors. Primary colors are used and mixed with each other to make secondary colors, and that's what that little math equation is about. Tertiary colors are a combination of primary and secondary. So when it asks how do you obtain tertiary colors, you'll write add a primary color to a secondary color. All right, and complementary colors are opposite on the color wheel. So that would be red and green, yellow, violet, blue and orange. So again, complementary colors are opposite on the color wheel. And on the right here, it asks value the lightness or darkness of a color. A shade has black. Black is added to create a dark color, and then a tint has white. White is added to create a light color. And for monochromatic, you'll pick any hue of your choice. So for this one, I chose blue, but you could also choose purple, red, any other different kind of one. So I think I'll go with red this time. There's no real writing needed for anything else, but you might want a label to help stay straight of which colors you should do. Like with primary colors, I know I'll need yellow, red, and blue. And then I'll use those primary colors again in combination. So a yellow and a red will make an orange. And for my tertiary colors, again, it might help for me to label them. My cool colors are violet, blue, and green because they feel cool. And my warm colors are yellow, red, and orange because they feel warm. Split complementary is probably the most confusing of each of these. You're taking a color, say orange. You're taking an orange, and that's your base color, so I could write an orange. And then I'm hopping across the color wheel, but instead of that pure complement, I'm going to the two neighbors. So I'm gonna have blue-green and blue-violet. That will be the split complementary neighbors. And then I'll need one more split complement. So I'll choose green, and then if I hop across the color wheel from green, I'll see red-orange and red-violet. So green and red-orange and red-violet. And for triadic, it's an equilateral triangle, such as the primaries, the secondaries. Analogous are colors that are beside each other on the color wheel. So I could have a yellow, and then the neighbors of yellow. So yellow-orange and yellow-green. Examples of neutral colors. These are colors that tend to be neither warm or cool. It's a little bit more nuanced than that, but just for right now, neutrals are kind of colors that go well with any other colors because they typically don't lean warm or cool. So that could be brown, gray, black, or white. Now that I have everything labeled and ready for me to write on, my paints should have had enough time to set up. The first thing I'd like to do are these primary colors over here. So I would always recommend going in and doing your yellows first because again, yellow gets dirty the quickest. So I'm gonna take my paintbrush and mix up the paint with the water a little bit more. And I don't need a whole lot, I just need enough for it to show up. So I'm gonna fill in this little yellow bit, like a little highlighter, and then I'll come down to this yellow as well. And this has yellow orange and yellow green, so I'm also going to paint these yellow as well. I think I've gotten all my yellows. It's okay if I haven't, I can always come back. I'll just want to make sure I have a clean paintbrush if I do come back. So I'm going to take my paintbrush and clean it in the water by painting the bottom of the water. And then drying off the paintbrush a little bit by tapping it on the side of the cup. Be careful not to tip the cup over. Now, I have a lot more water with this, so I'm not being as careful as I should be. So I could maybe get a little bit of the paint off. I could also get it off into a paper towel, but I want to slow down and take my time so I can get some practice using a paintbrush. And I said I would use my red for monochromatic. So I want to start off with a little bit more water than paint. So I'm going to take off some of that paint. And I'm going to try and get the lighter bit in the bottom. And then I'm going to come back to my paint. Apply it even thicker and try and fade it out a little bit. Now that that's had a minute to dry just a little bit, I'm going to take even more red, try and darken this even more. Looks like I used a little bit too much water right there, so it made it blossom a little bit. So I should try and be more careful, but that's okay. And that's why we're practicing with this, so that when you're with your own artworks, you won't make as many mistakes. I like to start off by painting in the orange first, just a straight up orange. And then I'm gonna bleed into the yellow orange and then the red orange. So yellow orange, and I'm gonna clean off my paintbrush, come back over to this orange a little bit, and go to the red orange. And because I went to a red orange to another red orange, I didn't really have to clean off my paintbrush, but now I'm going to this yellow orange, I want to clean off my paintbrush. Technically, you can make a brown by adding any complements together. Like if you mix a red and a green together, they're gonna make a brown. Blue and orange, or yellow and a purple, those will all make browns. But we have this kind of basic brown in here anyway, so we might as well use it. And then a gray and a black. Black, you're just using straight up black with a lot of pigment. With gray, you'll only be using a little bit of pigment and more water. Alright, let me double check my work real quick. So I have primary colors, which are yellow, red, and blue. I have my secondary colors. Yellow and red make orange, blue and yellow make green, red and blue make violet. My tertiary colors add a primary color to a secondary color, which are blue-green, blue-violet, red-violet, red-orange, yellow-orange, and yellow-green. Cool colors are purple, blue, and green. Warm colors are yellow, red, and orange. Complementary colors are opposite on the color wheel, like yellow and violet, red and green, blue and orange. A monochromatic color is made up of one color and its shade intense. So you're going to choose one hue, like red, and then I use that one red to make a color value scale going on. I could have also chosen orange, a yellow, green, blue, violet, any of those common name colors in the center of my wheel were perfectly fine. For my split complementary, I chose an orange across the street from a blue-green and a blue-violet, and then I chose a green, which across the street is a red-violet and a red-orange. I chose a triadic color scheme of yellow, red, and blue, although I also could have done green, violet, and orange. My analogous colors, I did the neighbors of yellow, which are yellow, orange, and yellow, green, the neighbors of red, which are red, orange, and red, violet, and the neighbors of blue, which are blue, green, and blue, violet. And the three neutral colors I chose are brown, gray, and black, but I also could have left one blank as white, because white is also considered a neutral. Again, use this as an opportunity to practice using a paintbrush. And that's it. All I need to do is put my name on the page now, let it dry, take a picture, and submit it. And I'll be able to keep this in my sketchbook as a nice reference. In terms of the paint, you'll want to let this paint palette dry. You could put the cover on it if you're worried about it getting messed up or somebody bumping into it, but preferably you want to let it dry open so that it dries fully. And after it's dry, you can shut it then. Your water, of course, you'll want to dispose of properly.